Today I want to share with you a MCA funding hack that'll really help you when it comes to funding deals. More importantly, understanding whether or not a deal can fund at all, if there's affordability of a repayment schedule. So let's take a look at our formula. Now, loan repayment, okay, is what you have to understand when talking to anybody about a loan, right? Immediately, can they pay this loan back? It begins with affordability, as I just mentioned, right? Lenders will allow roughly 16 to 18% of a business owner's monthly gross revenue to be paid out to the lenders for repayment of a loan, okay? This includes their own loan that the lender's willing to provide if the client has additional loans. So what do I mean by this? Well, for example, let's take a business loan, right? Okay, and we'll say a business will need enough revenue to support repayment of a loan based on the 16 to 18% allowance, right? So we need an example, a hard look. Let's say we have a cash advance offer, right? Or we have a client who needs an unsecured financing. Usually it's a cash advance, right? They need $100,000. Okay, well, there's a few things that we need to know in determining whether or not they can afford this loan, right? So first of all, let's take the loan amount, $100,000. Let's take the average factor, a 138, or in other words, 38% interest, okay? Which, by the way, is the buy rate, not the sell rate. So when you get a buy rate from a lender, you then have to put your points on top of it, and that's the sell rate. That's what you're selling it as. If you sell it at the buy rate, you're not factoring in your points. You're not going to make any money. Okay, so there's the buy rate and the sell rate. So the buy rate is 38%, but we want to put our points in, right? We're going to, in this case, we'll put 8 points in the deal, or 8%, right? Bringing us to a total sell rate of 46%. Okay, but what that means is we have a $146,000 payback on a $100,000 loan. Okay, so now that we've determined what our actual payback is going to be, we have to determine whether or not the client can afford that payment. Okay, so it begins with monthly revenue. Well, let's take a look at the client's monthly revenue. They say they're grossing $100,000 per month in revenue. Okay, so this means they can roughly afford $16,000 to $18,000 a month at a maximum. Okay, again, 16 to 18% of their monthly gross revenue, right? In this case of 100,000, 16,000 to 18,000 fits the figure. Okay, so with that being said, does the client have enough revenue to support paying back? But with that being said, can they afford it?